Hey, what if I told you that the reason most people feel broke has nothing to do with how much money they actually make? And what if I told you that the banks already taught you how to solve this problem? Shit. Most people work harder, they make more money, they invest more aggressively, and they still feel stuck. Stuck from debts and all sorts of stuff. That's not an income problem. That's a banking problem. And there's a system that has worked for wealthy families. As I was saying, there's a system that's been used by the wealthiest families and the banks throughout history. It's a system that allows you to finance your own life instead of using the banks. You can get out of debt this way, you can buy cars and big purchases, and you can keep all the money because you're in control of your money. It's actually called the infinite banking concept. Now, before you start thinking it's a scam or some insurance sales pitch, shit, damn it, it's definitely not a scam. Matter of fact, it's just a system of how you use your money. This has nothing to do with you earning more, taking on more risk. It has everything to do with you taking back control. And in this video, I'm gonna break it down step by step on how you can become your own banker, how you can take back control of your money, and how you can build wealth through your own debts and expenses. Come on, let's do this. One of the main things I get asked is, how do I get started? So I thought I would do a video to kind of walk everybody through the process of taking back the banking functions in your life. In other words, how do I get started in being my own bank? That's what I'm gonna cover in today's video, and I'm gonna break it down into 4 simple steps that everyone can apply in their life. But let me warn you real quick, this is an exercise in imagination. It requires you to think differently because everything you've been taught about money your entire life is about to be challenged. Let's dive in. So it is time for you to take back control of your money, and it's time for you to become your own bank. But we must go through the most important thing is, how do I get started? Well, first, you're gonna have to think outside the box, because what we're gonna talk about is gonna be the exact opposite of everything you've been taught about how money works. So let's just dive in. The first thing you must understand about this concept, which is called the infinite banking concept, pioneered by the late R. Nelson Nash, is you must understand to do this, you have to be able to save money. So when I talk to people, the first knockout question is, are you saving money now? If the answer is no, the second thing would be, have you created a budget, and is there anywhere you're leaking money in your family that you could recapture? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna evaluate your budget, your financial plan. How do you look, and have you ever done the work to figure out whether or not you could become your own bank? So I'm gonna make this all about visuals. The first thing we need to do is figure out your budget. So how many of you have actually done a budget? And when's the last time you updated it? Hey, this is pretty simple. On the left side, all we're gonna do is we're gonna write down all of your income sources. This would be any W-2 income, any 1099 income you got from your side hustle, any investment or K-1 income, and then also we'll just write down interest. You got any interest income coming in out there? So let's figure out what all this is, and then we're gonna draw a line and we're just gonna total that up. We'll come back to that. So on one side, this is your income. On the other side, this is gonna be your expenses, but I'm gonna add one, and that is going to be your debts. Because the best way for all of you to build wealth is through your expenses and your debts. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. But first, how do I get started? Well, we'll figure out whether or not you actually can get started, because the minimum amount for you to create your own banking system, your own private banking system, is 10 times your age. So how do we do that? Well, that's quite simple. In order to figure out whether or not you can hit the minimum, take your age. I am 47 years old. Add a 0. That is 10 times my age, and that's the monthly minimum. So if I wanted to start my own private banking system, I take my age, I add a 0, and that's per month. Now you can multiply that times 12 to get your annual amount, but this is how you figure out the minimum. But why would any of you want to start with the minimum? What we want to do is we want to start with the amount you're saving today. Because in order for this to work, all you're going to do is change one thing. That is where your savings goes first. Not all your income. All we're looking for is how much of this money are you saving. Now, when I ask people this, a lot of people don't know. They literally don't know how much they're saving, which is why we're going to evaluate your budget. Income. Now over here, we're gonna have expenses. Now let's just kind of keep this really simple. And let's put groceries, we've got rent. What I'm doing for expenses, I'm putting all the things that every single month you're gonna have, and these are things that they're not debts, but they're expenses you spend money on every month. Your phone, and then we'll just write down entertainment. Okay, so we've got all of these different things. Now what I want you to do is I want you to total these up, and that's gonna give us our expense amount. We know that no matter what, we have to take the amount of income you make minus your expenses, and that's the first step. But there's another one. We want to include debts in there. So now what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna draw another line, and we're gonna figure out how much in debt you have. So the first thing we would write down is we'd wanna break down all your credit cards. So we're gonna write down credit card debts. Now, real quick, when we do our credit cards, can I make a suggestion? Go from lowest to highest balance. So when you're doing your credit cards and you're listing them all out, I want you to put them from the lowest balance to the highest balance. The other thing I want you to do is I want to know the balance on it, I want to know the payment, and then I also want to know the percent of interest that you're paying. So we want to know balance, payment amount, and percent of interest. Now after credit cards, some of you probably have lines of credit, some of you have car payments, and then most of you will more than likely have a mortgage. So again, for all the debts, we're gonna have balance, the payment, and the percent of interest. And if you really wanna be an overachiever, what we'll do is we'll write down how much time is left to pay those debts off. So now that we've got all that, over here, we're gonna have the amount for the balance, and then I also wanna know the amount of payments. So now we've got these columns. You got income, expenses, debts. But debts are the only one that has a little extra, being the balance, the payment, percent of interest. In overachievers, you can do the amount of time left. And we've got all these different totals down here on the bottom. So here's what we're gonna do. How much money are you able to save, which is the number I want? We're gonna take your income. So let's just say your income is, let's use 6 grand, okay? Your income is $6,000. All your expenses are $3,000. Okay, so we've got 6 minus the 3. That means we've got $3,000 left after that. And now what we want to do is come over here to your debts. And let's say your debts are $1,000 a month. And your balance is, I don't know, let's call it 100,000 for simple math. And the amount you're paying every single month is $1,000. So now we know that. So if I were to do this equation, it would be 6 minus 3 minus 1,000. So now what I know is this person has $2,000 in discretionary income. This is the amount of money you have left. Now there's a couple factors. When we do our income over here, what I would preface is do 2 different ways. I want you to do the net income, the amount after taxes, and I want you to do the gross. The gross is really bragging rights. The net is really what we're looking for. So in this scenario, I'm factoring that 6,000 is your net after taxes. 3,000 are your monthly expenses. $1,000 is what you pay on your debts, and you have $100,000 in debts. Everybody tracking with that? So by doing that exercise, what I now have figured out is what your disposable income is. And in this, it's $2,000. Now, let me stop you right there. How many of you have ever done this exercise? Yeah, you have? How many of you have come up with a number that kind of confuses you a little bit? Kind of like this. Wow, there's $2,000 left every single month. But then you look at your bank account, you're like, there is no money left every single month. There is often a discrepancy between the amount you come up with here and the amount in reality that you have, and I can tell you exactly why that is. you legitimately, if you did the math and you double checked it all, you legitimately have discretionary income of $2,000. But what you failed to do is to separate your extra money from your spending money. Now, what do I talk about? Well, most all of you have all of your income go into a checking account. Now, is anyone here different than that? Is all of your income going into a checking account? It is, right? And then from that checking account, what's happening? You're paying your expenses and you're paying your debt payments. Okay? You're doing that every single month. Money is coming in, money is going out. So if this resulted in $2,000 a month in extra money, okay, that's your extra, then why is there not $2,000 over here? The reason for that is this $2,000 is being spent, okay? We're just gonna put this, we're spending this money on enjoyment. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get out of debt, and you're trying to build a financial future for yourself that looks better than today, this is where you must start. We do not want to spend this $2,000. Now, if you're like, I don't want to just live my life where I'm making money and only keeping enough in my account to, just spend it on expenses, what you're going to do is you're going to come back to this budget, and all you're going to do is you're just going to add another item over here, enjoyment. Okay? So we're just going to write enjoyment, and then maybe this is going to be now $3,500. So you're going to blow $500, and now our discretionary is only $1,500. Follow what I'm doing? Build it into your budget, because now we've only got $1,500, not $2,000, but now you've got some extra money to enjoy your life. But that doesn't solve your problem. So now what we must do is we must create another account and automatically move this $1,500 in discretionary money into this segregated account. Okay, so what is the segregated account? Well, here, I'm going to give you first just a baseline practice. Before you get into the infinite banking concepts, this is what I'd recommend. Go to the bank where you have your checking account and open up a second checking account. Then what I want you to do is every month, I want you to transfer this $1,500 into this segregated bank account. But it's very important, listen to me very closely, no debit cards. Got it? No debit cards, and I also would prefer no checks. And I also don't want you looking at this account very often. This is the amount you're saving. So now what we've done is we have evaluated your budget, we've built in money for you to enjoy yourself, and now what we've done is we've built a process to get money out of your black hole, which is your regular checking account, and get it into this segregated bank account where now it has the ability to grow. You can look at this account every day, but please condition yourself not to go out and blow this money, because this money is going to have a purpose. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move to the second part of how do I get started. The first part was very simple. Can you do the infinite banking concept? Can you become your own bank? And that started with evaluating the budget. All right, so the second part to you getting started is we need to know your goals. If you get on a call with us, we are literally going to ask you, number one, have you watched the 90-minute video? That's going to be the single most important thing. Have you seen the fundamental video that teaches you what the infinite banking concept is? Now, if you have not, let's just pause in this video right now. And what I want you to do is go in the description, click the link, or just scan the QR code, and it will take you directly to the video that shows you how to pay off debt, fundamentals of the infinite banking concept, and it will show you how to get all the money back for every single car you will buy, drive, and own. So click the link, scan the QR code, watch that, and then come back to this, how do I get started? Oh, good, you're back. That was fast. Now we need to know your goals, but you already know that because you watched the 90-minute video. You see, I can't show you how to become your own bank if I don't know what the goals are. So let's just assume that your number one goal is you want to be debt-free, okay? So now this is simple. So you want to be debt-free. Let's go to a second round though. That's your first goal. Your second goal is what you want to do is you want to get all the money back for all those cars. Money back for cars. So that's your second goal. Great. Now we've identified your goals. First, we figured out can you do this and what your discretionary income is. We built a method to save that money. So now you're forcing savings. But now what we're going to do is we're going to really hyper focus on your number one goal, getting out of debt. Now, do you remember from your budget what your debt was? You had $100,000 in debt that you were paying $1,000 a month toward. So to figure this out, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to organize your debts from lowest to highest. Now, this is not always the best method to pay off your debt, but it's a good starting place. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, we're going to write down your debts. Let's say Visa is $10,000, okay? And we're going to put 20%. Then let's just say you've got a Discover, which is $15,000. You've got a car loan, which is $25,000. And lastly, you've got student debt. Now I'm just making this up. Okay, you got student debt, which is $50,000. So now what we've done is gone from lowest balance to highest balance. Now we've also got to put down the interest rates. So let's say this is 29, car loan is 5%, and let's say your student loans are at 0%. Got that? Let me show you something really fun. If we take this and we figure this out, and we figure out, we know that this is $1,000 every single month, but how much are you actually giving away? You got 4 debts here. So what I want you to do is grab your calculator, and I want you to add the percentages. 20% plus 29% plus 5 plus 0. So you got 54% is the total, but now what we're going to do is we're going to divide this by 4. Okay, because we have 4 debts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So divided by 4. You are giving away 13.5% a year. Now I want you to think about that. How much risk would you take inside of a 401k, inside of a stock or mutual fund account, inside of a crypto account to try to make 13.5%? Don't answer that. Whatever answer you say is too much risk because you're giving this away right now. This is money that you could take back and it would be completely risk-free if you follow the process. So now we're on to the third part of you getting started. And this part is understanding the process. But at this point, you've already watched that 90-minute video that was in the description, the link or the QR code, so you already know what this process is. But let me just do a quick repeat. Remember, in the process, you changed one thing, and that was where your savings goes first. So now you are saving $1,500 in that segregated bank account. And this right here represents that segregated account. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna change where that money goes first. This is the first step in the process. And we're gonna put that into a specially designed whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned company that pays dividends. I know it's a repeat of the video. Now, once the money's here, we got $1,500 every single month that we're saving. Now, we built the policy so that you have access to this money. How quick? See how many of you were paying attention to the 90-minute. Immediately in the first 30 days, right? Correct. So now let's walk through our goal. Remember, we changed where our money goes first, where our savings goes first, and we do this because we're gonna get a guaranteed interest rate. Okay, so we want that guaranteed interest. We want dividends. We want it to grow tax-free, and we also want to earn uninterrupted compounding interest, UCI. Now that that's started, what's next? Well, we have access to the money immediately in the first 30 days, but the goal, your goal that you told us was to pay off all of that debt. We had a Visa for $10,000, we had a Discover for $15,000, we had a car loan for $25,000, and we had a student loan for $50,000. You have $100,000 in debt. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these down. We had the Visa, the Discover, the car, and student loans totaling $100,000. of which is costing you $1,000 a month. And not only that, you're giving away 13.5% in interest. This is your goal. So now we're just going to connect the two, and we're going to have your process start to take place. We're going to save up money for 3 months. We're going to do this quarterly. So in 3 months, you have saved up $4,500 in cash value, okay? Let's just assume that's the number. So you now, in 3 months, you have saved up $4,500. So what we're going to do, we're going to take that $4,500, we're going to move it. Now hold on, let me actually, since you're already one step ahead of me, here's that segregated bank account. Now we're going to start using that. We're going to take a loan from the insurance company. First part of the process. We take a loan and we can take out $4,500. And it's not going to be exactly $4,500 in transparency. So we'll put a little disclaimer here. You're not going to be able to use 100% of your cash value, but I'm just doing this for an example to teach you the process. Your numbers are going to differ. So we take a loan for $4,500. That money goes into the segregated account. We're then going to write a check from your segregated account for $4,500. Why did we waste the time of going through the segregated account? The answer is books and records. We now have a record of the first loan from your policy. Now the insurance company is going to charge you interest on this loan, and the interest rate can be anywhere between 5 and 7% depending on the company, but don't get hung up on that yet. We got $4,500, so what are we going to do? We're going to come over here and we had $10,000 owed to Visa, but we're going to subtract $4,500 from that. So I'm going to go faster because you already watched the 90-minute video. We take the $4,500 loan that came from your private banking system, which is the policy, and we're going to pay $4,500 down on the Visa, which means if we were giving $100 to Visa every single month prior, now you've paid almost half of it off, so now let's just assume it's only $50 a month that you owe to Visa. So what did we do? Well, if we were used to giving away 100 and now we only have to give away 50, we now can come down here and we can recycle and recapture $50. Why? Well, because we don't owe Visa that $50 anymore. So that $50 comes over here into the segregated bank account. Now there's two schools of thought. We can let that $50 build up in the segregated account, or we could come over here and we could have that $50 go back into the policy as a loan repayment. Now we would help you set this up, but now we've got $50 a month coming back into the policy every single month. We just set up a bill pay, okay? This is all done with bill pay. We set up a bill pay to have that 50 come back over into the policy. So now what we're doing is every month we're reducing this $4,500 by $50. But we're also keeping and saving $50 that we used to give away. Everybody understands? The process is we went around the top part of the circle, paid down the debt, freed money up, and we recycled it back to the original source. This is the process. You are starting to understand it. Now, I'm not going to do them all, but just imagine this. Now what we do is we do this again. 3 months after this, we have saved $1,500 a month. We have built up another $4,500, but now there isn't $4,500 in the account. There's now $4,600. Where did the extra 100 come from? And these numbers are not exact. Full disclosure, this is just an example. Compounding interest. So we're now 6 months in. You're going to make your second loan from the policy, but now we're going to take the full amount, $4,600. Well, hold on a second. You don't just have $4,600, which is the cash value plus the compounding interest. You also now saved $50 a month from the Visa. So 50 times 3 months is 150. So now in the second 3-month interval, we're going to take $4,750 out. $4,600 from cash value, $150 from the recaptured loan repayments. We now have $4,750. We're going to come over here. We're going to pay off $4,750 of the Visa. So now in that Visa, if you do the math, $750 is all we owe to Visa, which means the payment to Visa is probably only $20, which means our recycle recapture is no longer $50, it's now $80, and now we're recapturing $80. So folks, what we're going to do is this is going to happen over and over every single quarter. The next quarter, we're going to take out whatever's in cash value, and it will be more than it was the quarter before. It's probably now going to be $4,700 because of compounding interest. We're going to always add back in the amount we recaptured. Around and round we go. We're going to start paying off all of these debts. And eventually, you're not going to have $80 a month being saved. You're going to be saving $1,000 a month because you were giving $1,000 a month away on these debts. So now we have fulfilled your first goal and paid off all your debts. And what we did is we paid off your debts using your existing savings, money you were saving that we changed where it went, but also, and very important, we used velocity of money you were giving away. We took the money you used to pay to Visa, Discover, the car, and the student loans. We recycled and recaptured them over to be a loan repayment to your bank, not repaying their bank. You have now fulfilled your first goal, pay off debt, but not only that, you have learned how to take back the banking functions in your life. All right, so now we are in our final step for you getting started, and that is the 4th step. This is easy. Get connected. So now you have gone and watched the 90-minute video. You have learned all the steps. You created your budget. You set your goals. You learned and implemented a process called the infinite banking concepts. Now what you're going to do is you're just going to stay around the campfire. We do 6 webinars every single week, so you can join us for them. They are totally free. I have almost 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel. Also, actually, by the way, are you subscribed to this YouTube channel? All right, let's do that right now. So click the subscribe button right here. There's a little bell up top. What I want you to do is I just want you to smash.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Damn, that hit my car. The bell, and then you'll be notified every time I put out new content. I don't know why I always have to hit either somebody or the car. But hold on, there is one other thing. Some of you are still saying, well, I still don't know how to get started. Wait. You watched the 90-minute video. You remember that little QR code that came up that allowed you to book a call with one of our money mentors? Yeah, get connected with us. Book a call with a money mentor. They will go through, get you started, learn how much money you want to save inside of your private banking, which is that specially designed whole life, and we'll walk you through the process so that then you're ready to rock and roll. So all this stuff just to get started, but you know, the biggest thing that people struggle with is the stress of being in debt. But you now have a path through it. You have a way to pay it all off, and you don't have to work harder, you don't have to work longer, and you don't have to take on any risk. All you need to do is change your mindset, apply the process, and get connected with us, and we will help you handle the rest. With that, folks, you just learned how to take back control of your money. And you know what the best part about this whole thing is? Once you're debt-free, everything else opens up. Now we start buying cars and getting all the money back for every car we buy, drive, and own. We start funding businesses. We start lending money on Private Money Club. We start doing all sorts of investments because now you're the bank. Now you're getting all the interest, and now your financial world starts to grow so much faster, all because of mathematics called compounding interest. Thanks for joining me for this. Go out there and become your own bank. We'll see you soon.